Commander John Miller stood at the viewport of the USS Vanguard, watching as the massive ship approached the Zentari homeworld. The planet glowed with a soft purple light, nothing like the blue and green of Earth. This was his first mission as the lead communications specialist and possibly the most important first contact in human history. "Commander, the captain requests your presence on the bridge," said a voice over the intercom. John took one last look at the alien world before making his way through the ship's corridors. The Vanguard was humanity's newest and largest diplomatic vessel, built specifically for first contact missions. After discovering the Zentari signals 3 years ago, Earth had spent every resource preparing for this moment. Captain Lavera Bennett nodded as John entered the bridge. She was a stern woman with 30 years of space experience. "Miller, we've received landing coordinates from the Zentari. They're allowing a team of 5 to meet with their ruling council. You'll be handling all communications?" "Yes, Captain," John replied. His heart beat faster at the thought. Years of studying the Zentari language from their transmissions had made him the obvious choice. But theory was different from practice. The landing shuttle broke through the atmosphere the next morning. John sat with the small diplomatic team. Captain Bennett, Science Officer Peter Kelly, Cultural Specialist Olivia Wright, and Security Chief Alan Jones all wore their best dress uniforms, medals gleaming. "Remember," John said as they prepared to exit the shuttle, "the Zentari communicate as much through their skin colors as their words. Blue means calm, red means anger or excitement, gold is for formal occasions." The doors opened to reveal a vast landing platform made of some kind of crystal that seemed to sing softly under their boots. A delegation of tall, blue-skinned aliens waited for them. The Zentari stood nearly 7 feet tall, with 4 arms and 6 eyes arranged in patterns across their faces. Their skin shimmered with gold patterns that shifted like waves. A Zentari stepped forward. Based on the elaborate patterns on its robes, John guessed this was an important official. "Welcome, humans of Earth," the alien said in surprisingly good English. "I am Minister Krell, appointed to guide you to the royal palace where Queen Illyria awaits." The team followed Minister Krell into a vehicle that hovered above the ground. As they moved through the Zentari capital city, John couldn't help but stare. Buildings made of crystal and some kind of living metal rose thousands of feet into the air. Zentari citizens stopped to watch the human delegation pass, their skin flashing with blues and greens that John recognized as curiosity. "Your city is beautiful," John said to Minister Krell in the Zentari language he had studied for years. The minister's skin flashed with surprised yellow patterns. "You speak our tongue well for a human. The Queen will be pleased." The royal palace was a massive structure that seemed to grow out of a mountain at the city's edge. As they entered the grand hall, John felt small for the first time in his life. The ceiling rose hundreds of feet above them, with light filtering through crystal patterns to create dancing rainbows on the floor. "Wait here," Minister Krell said. "The Queen will see you shortly." The humans stood in nervous silence. John checked his translation device one final time. This meeting would set the tone for all future relations between humans and Zentari. A soft tone echoed through the hall, and all the Zentari present lowered their upper arms in what John recognized as a gesture of respect. From a doorway that seemed to appear in the wall itself, Queen Illyria entered. She was taller than the other Zentari, with skin that shimmered a deeper blue. Her 6 eyes, arranged in a perfect diamond pattern, studied the humans with clear intelligence. She wore no crown, but a simple band of white metal around her head that seemed to glow from within. "Greetings, travelers from Earth," she said in a voice that seemed to echo in John's mind as much as his ears. "I am Illyria, 7th Queen of the United Zentari Systems." Captain Bennett stepped forward and bowed. "Queen Illyria, we bring greetings from Earth and the United Earth Government. We come in peace and friendship." The Queen's skin rippled with gold patterns. "So formal," she said, with what John thought might be amusement. "Come, let us speak more comfortably." She led them to a chamber with a round table made of the same crystal as the landing pad. As they sat, John noticed the chairs adjusted to perfectly fit human bodies. "You have studied us," he said in Zentari before he could stop himself. All 6 of the Queen's eyes turned to him. Just as you have studied us, Commander Miller. Yes, we know who each of you are. Your transmissions have been quite informative. John felt his face grow hot. Captain Bennett shot him a warning look. Forgive my communications officer, Your Majesty, she said quickly. There is nothing to forgive, Queen Illyria replied. I find direct speech refreshing. In fact, I would like Commander Miller to serve as my personal liaison during your stay. He speaks our language well, and I wish to learn more about Earth culture. John couldn't believe what he was hearing. Personal liaison to the alien queen? That went far beyond his expected duties. It would be my honor, he said. Bowing his head, the formal meeting continued for several hours, with basic diplomatic exchanges and agreements to further meetings. When it ended, Minister Krell showed the human delegation to their quarters in the diplomatic wing of the palace. To John's surprise, his room was separate from the others. The Queen has requested your presence for dinner, Minister Krell explained. She wishes to begin cultural exchanges immediately. That evening, John found himself in a small dining room with just the Queen present. Gone were her formal robes, replaced by simpler clothing that reminded John of silk. Please sit, she said, gesturing with one of her 4 hands, and please speak in your native language. I wish to practice my English. John sat across from her. Food appeared from hidden panels in the table. Some dishes looked alien, while others appeared to be attempts at Earth cuisine. You've gone to great lengths to make us comfortable, John said. Is that not what good hosts do? Queen Illyria's skin flickered with soft blue patterns. Commander Miller, our people stand at an important crossroads. The choices we make in the coming days will affect both our worlds for generations. I understand, Your Majesty. Please, when we are speaking privately, call me Illyria. Her 6 eyes blinked in sequence. Tell me about yourself, John Miller. Not the official record? We have studied, but who you truly are. And so began the first of many private conversations. John told her about growing up in a small town in the western United States, about his fascination with languages that led him to study alien communication patterns, about his hopes for humanity's future among the stars. In turn, Illyria shared stories of her childhood as a princess, selected from birth to one day bear the responsibility of the crown. She spoke of Zentari customs, their connection to their world, and their curiosity about the universe beyond. Hours passed like minutes. When John finally returned to his quarters, he realized something unexpected had happened. He had connected with the alien queen not just as a diplomat, but as a person. And in her strange, 6-eyed face, he had seen something he recognized. Loneliness. As he prepared for sleep in the alien bed that somehow felt perfectly comfortable, John knew his mission had just become much more complicated than anyone on Earth could have predicted. 2 years passed quickly on the Zentari homeworld. John Miller no longer felt like a visitor. His room in the diplomatic wing now held a mix of Earth items and Zentari gifts. Pictures of his family sat next to strange crystal sculptures. His Earth uniform hung in the closet beside Zentari, robes made for his human shape. John's main job was still to help with talks between Earth and the Zentari, but much of his time was spent with Queen Illyria. What started as formal meetings about culture had grown into something more like friendship. They now met almost daily, often walking through the royal gardens where strange plants glowed under twin moons. Your language has become very good, Illyria told him one evening as they walked past flowers that closed when anyone came near. Her skin glowed a soft blue in the dim light. You speak Zentari better than any other human. I have a good teacher, John replied with a smile. He could now see the small changes in her skin color that showed her feelings. The light gold pattern now appearing meant she was pleased. Tomorrow the new group from Earth arrives, Illyria said. Including your Admiral Garcia. Are you nervous? John hadn't seen anyone from Earth leadership in months. The Vanguard had returned home long ago, leaving only a small team on the Zentari world. Regular ships brought supplies and took messages back and forth. A little, he admitted. Admiral Garcia will want to know everything about our progress. And what will you tell her about me? Illyria asked. All six of her eyes focused on him. John paused. What would he say? That he spent hours each day with the alien queen? That he, looked forward to these walks more than anything else? That sometimes when she spoke he forgot she wasn't human? I will tell her you are a wise ruler and a valued friend to Earth, he said finally. Illyria's skin flashed briefly with a deep purple John had rarely seen. Just a friend to Earth? Not to you? Before John could answer, Minister Krell appeared. On the path, my queen, forgive the interruption. The council needs your input on tomorrow's welcome ceremony, Illyria nodded. We will continue our talk later, John Miller. The next morning, John stood with the other Earth representatives as the ship from home landed. He wore his formal uniform, freshly cleaned. The doors opened and Admiral Susan Garcia stepped out first. She was a short woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. Commander Miller, she said, shaking his hand firmly, you look well. Life among the aliens agrees with you? Thank you, Admiral. Welcome to Zentari. Queen Illyria is excited to meet you. Admiral Garcia studied his face closely. I'll bet she is. We have much to discuss before that meeting. After the welcome ceremony, Garcia asked to see John's quarters. She walked slowly around the room, touching the mix of Earth and Zentari items. The brass is worried you've gone native, John, she said, picking up a crystal figure Illyria had given him. They're concerned about where your loyalties lie. My loyalty is to Earth, John replied quickly, but even he could hear the doubt in his voice. And the Queen, what is she to you? Garcia asked, looking straight at him. John didn't answer right away, and that told Garcia everything. You're not the first human to fall for someone from another world, she sighed. But you may be the first to fall for a queen. She sat down. The crystal figure? This complicates things, especially with the military alliance treaty coming up. I haven't done anything wrong, John said. No, but feelings can cloud judgment. Garcia looked around the room again. The Zentari have amazing technology we want. Ships that travel faster than ours. Weapons that could help us against the Crawl. If they ever attack again, we need this alliance. The Queen wants the alliance too, John said. Does she, or does she just want you? Garcia shook her head. Be careful, John. Don't mistake personal feelings for political ones. That night, John couldn't sleep. Garcia's words kept running through his mind. Had he mixed up his feelings for Illyria with his duty to Earth? Was he seeing something in her that wasn't real? A soft knock came at his door. John opened it to find a royal guard. The Queen requests your presence in the garden, the guard said. Garden was empty except for Illyria, who stood near a pool that reflected the two moons above. She wore simple robes, and her skin was a deeper blue than usual. Your Admiral Garcia is very direct, she said as John approached. She asked many questions about our relationship. What did you tell her? John asked. The truth. That you are my cultural advisor and valued friend? Illyria turned all six eyes to him, but I did not tell her everything. What didn't you tell her? John's heart beat faster. I did not tell her that in the 2 years you have been here, I have come to care for you in ways that are not diplomatic. Her skin began to glow with a deep gold pattern John had never seen before. I did not tell her that when you are not here, the palace feels empty despite having hundreds of others in it. John stepped closer to her. Illyria ... In Zentari culture, rulers do not usually choose their own mates, she continued. Matches are made for political advantage. But queens have the right to follow their hearts if they wish. She reached out. One four-fingered hand. My heart leads me to you, John Miller of Earth. Is that wrong? In that moment, John knew his answer to Garcia's question. He took Illyria's hand in his own. The difference in their shapes didn't matter. It's not wrong, he said softly. For 2 years, I've told myself we were just friends, that what I felt was just fascination with your world. But it's more than that. Illyria's skin glowed brighter. You feel as I do? Yes, John said simply. I love you. I didn't think it was possible to love someone so different from me, but I do. Illyria's free hand touched his face gently. Then we face a difficult path. Your people will question your loyalty, My people will question my judgment. But perhaps together we can show both worlds that love can exist even across the stars. What happens now? John asked. Now we must be careful, Illyria said. The alliance between our worlds is too important to risk on personal feelings. We must ensure that what we build is strong enough to withstand the questions that will come. She leaned down, bringing her face close to his. John wasn't sure what a Zentari kiss would be like, but he was ready to find out. Just before their faces met, a distant bell rang across the garden. The midnight council, Illyria whispered. I must go. She straightened up. Tomorrow we will begin planning. If we are to be together, we must find a way that serves both our worlds. As she walked away, her skin still glowing with that deep gold color, John knew his life had changed forever. Whatever challenges came next, he would face them for her. The stars themselves couldn't keep them apart now. Word of John and Illyria's relationship spread quickly through the palace. The Zentari guards and staff had known for months, their many eyes seeing the change in their queen's skin colors whenever John entered a room. Now that the two had admitted their feelings, there was no hiding it. Admiral Garcia called John to a private meeting the next morning. Her face was serious as he entered the small room set aside for Earth officials. Tell me it's not true, she said without greeting. John stood tall. I won't lie to you, Admiral. I care deeply for Queen Illyria, and she cares for me. Garcia rubbed her eyes. Do you have any idea what you've done? This news is already on its way to Earth. The media will go crazy with it. Human falls for alien. Queen, it will be everywhere. I didn't plan for this to happen, John said. No one ever does. Garcia looked tired. The problem is, this isn't just about you and her. This is about two entire species and the alliance we're trying to build. She turned on a screen that showed news from Earth. People were already talking about the relationship. Some thought it was wonderful, a true sign that humans and Zentari could live in peace. Others worried that John was being used, or worse, that he was giving away Earth secrets. The president wants you to come home, Garcia said. They think you're compromised. John felt cold fear run through him. I can't leave, not now. You might not have a choice unless... Garcia paused. Unless we can show them that your relationship with the Queen helps Earth, John frowned. What do you mean? The military alliance treaty. If we can get better terms because of your influence with Illyria, everyone wins. Garcia leaned forward. I need you to talk to her. Get her to agree to share more of their technology with us. You want me to use my relationship to manipulate her? John couldn't believe what he was hearing. I want you to help your people while helping yourself, Garcia said. If this treaty goes well, maybe you can stay here with her? John left the meeting feeling sick. He wouldn't use Illyria like that. But what choice did he have? If he was forced to return to Earth, they might never see each other again. Meanwhile, Illyria faced her own problems. The Zentari Royal Council had called an emergency meeting. Prime Minister Kata Varun, a tall, stern Zentari with dark green skin, spoke for many when he confronted her. Your Majesty, your choice of a human as a potential mate concerns us greatly, he said, his skin flashing with orange worry patterns. This has never happened before in our history. Many things happen for the first time, Prime Minister, Illyria replied calmly. Our meeting with humans was also a first. Another council member spoke up. The Queen's mate becomes part of the royal line. They must connect to the confluence. Can a human even survive such a connection? The room fell silent. The confluence was the Zentari's greatest secret, known to only a few humans. It was the living network that connected all Zentari minds together, with the Queen as its center. We do not know, Illyria admitted, but John Miller has a strong mind. I believe he could join with us if given the chance. Kata Varun's skin darkened. And if he cannot? If his mind breaks under the connection? What then, Your Majesty? We lose a queen because of a failed experiment? Illyria stood tall, her skin flashing with royal purple. I have ruled for 50 of your years, Prime Minister. In that time, I have always put our people first. I ask for your trust now. The Council Members looked at each other, their skin colors shifting in silent communication. Finally, Kate of Arun bowed slightly. "We will not oppose your choice, Your Majesty, but we ask that you bring Dr. Zelther to examine the human. If she believes he can survive the confluence, we will support your decision." That evening, John and Illyria met in a quiet room deep in the palace. They sat close together, their hands touching as they shared their troubles. "Garcia wants me to use our relationship to get better terms for Earth," John said, still angry at the suggestion. Illyria's skin showed sad blue patterns. "And my council fears you cannot survive joining with the confluence." "The confluence?" John asked. "You've mentioned it before, but never explained what it is." Illyria was quiet for a moment. "It is the heart of our people, John. All Zentari are connected through it. Our thoughts, our feelings, our very souls touch each other there. The Queen must be the strongest connection, the one who can feel all others." "And your mate must join too?" John tried to understand. "Yes, it is how we truly become one." Illyria touched his face gently. "But no human has ever joined the confluence. We do not know if your mind could handle it." John took her hand. "If it means being with you, I want to try." "It could kill you, John," Illyria said, her skin showing fear patterns. "Or worse, leave you alive but broken." "I'm not afraid," John said, though part of him was terrified. "When can I try?" "First, you must meet with Dr. Zelther. She is our greatest mind healer. She will test your mental strength." Illyria's many eyes blinked in sequence. "But there is more we must discuss. Your Admiral Garcia's request troubles me." John nodded. "I won't do it. I won't use you like that. But if we do nothing, they will take you from me." Illyria's skin darkened. "Perhaps there is a middle path. We can improve the treaty terms, not because you ask it of me, but because it is the right thing for both our peoples." John thought about it. A true partnership. Not Earth taking from Zentari, or Zentari keeping secrets from Earth, but both sides sharing equally. Yes, it will not be easy. Some technology we cannot share until we know humans will use it wisely. Illyria's skin brightened. "But we can start a new kind of alliance, one built on trust rather than advantage." John smiled. "Garcia might accept that. It gives Earth more than they have now, even if it's not everything they want. And my council will see that I still put our people's needs first." Illyria squeezed his hand gently. "Together we may find a path forward." As they talked into the night, planning their future and the future of their worlds, John realized how much had changed. 2 years ago, he had been just a communications officer, excited to meet aliens. Now he was helping shape the relationship between two species, all because he had fallen in love with a queen who saw beyond the differences in their bodies to the similarity in their hearts. Tomorrow would bring Dr. Zelther and her tests. It would bring more meetings with Garcia and the Earth officials. There would be hard work and hard choices ahead. But tonight, sitting with Illyria's hand in his, John felt hope. Whatever challenges came, they would face them together. Dr. Zelther was the oldest Zentari John had ever seen. Her blue skin had faded to a pale color, and the patterns moved slowly across her body. But her 6 eyes were sharp and missed nothing as she studied John in the small medical room. "So you are the human who has caught our queen's heart?" she said, circling him slowly. "Interesting. Your kind is so different from ours." "Does that matter?" John asked. "Perhaps not for love," Dr. Zelther replied. "But for the confluence? That remains to be seen." She pointed to a chair. "Sit, we will begin the tests." For 3 hours, Dr. Zelther put John through strange mental exercises. She showed him patterns that seemed to move and change the longer he looked at them. She played sounds that made his head hurt but asked him to focus on them anyway. She placed her hands on his temples and sent what felt like small electric shocks through his mind. "Enough," she said finally. "Your mind is strong. For a human, strong enough, I think, to try the confluence." Her skin showed surprise patterns. "I did not expect this result." John felt relieved but exhausted. "So I can join with Illyria?" "It is not so simple," Dr. Zelther said. "The connection must be accepted by the confluence itself. And there is risk, Even with your mental strength, the process could harm you. She tilted her head. Are you willing to take this risk for our queen? For Illyria, yes, John said without hesitation. Dr. Zelther's skin showed approval. Then I will tell the council you are fit to try. The rest is up to them. And to you and Illyria. When John left the medical room, he found Admiral Garcia waiting for him. How did it go? She asked, falling into step beside him. Dr. Zelther thinks I can handle their confluence, whatever that means. John was too tired to hide his irritation. Have you been spying on me? Keeping tabs, Garcia corrected. Big difference. So, did you think about our conversation? About using your influence with the Queen? John stopped walking. I won't manipulate her, but Illyria and I did talk about improving the treaty. She agrees we need a true partnership. Garcia raised her eyebrows. Define true partnership. Equal sharing of knowledge and resources. Earth gets more technology than originally offered, but not everything at once. We prove ourselves trustworthy with each step. The president won't like the prove ourselves part, Garcia said, but it's better than what we had. I'll take it. To the negotiation team, she studied his face. You really love her, don't you? I do, John said simply. Garcia shook her head. I hope it's worth it. The media back home is having a field day. Half call you a hero, half call you a traitor. Your parents have been hounded by reporters. John hadn't thought about how this would affect his family. Are they okay? They support you. They told the press they're proud that their son found love, even if it's with someone from another world. Garcia almost smiled. Your mother said she always knew you'd aim high, but she never expected you to fall for a queen. Later that day, Illyria met with John in the royal garden. Her skin glowed with happy colors when she saw him. Dr. Zelther has given her approval, she said, taking his hands in hers. The council has agreed to let you attempt joining the confluence. That's good news, John said, and I spoke with Garcia. She'd take our partnership idea to the Earth negotiation. Team. Then we are making progress. Illyria's skin shifted to a more serious pattern. But there is something we must discuss. Joining the confluence is only part of what we must do if we are to be together. What else is there? John asked. On Earth? How do your people formalize a life bond? Illyria asked. John blinked, surprised by the question. You mean marriage? Well, traditionally, one person asks the other. They exchange rings and vows in front of family and friends. And what words are spoken when asking? Illyria seemed very interested, usually something like, will you marry me? John felt his heart beat faster. Illyria, are you asking about this? Because. Because I wish to understand your customs, she finished for him. If we are to join our lives, we should honor both our ways. John took a deep breath. He had been thinking about this for weeks, but hadn't found the courage to bring it up. Now seemed the perfect time. In that case, he said, reaching into his pocket, there's something I should show you. He pulled out a small box. Inside were 2 rings. One was sized for a human hand, simple and gold. The other was larger and made of a strange metal that glowed softly, sized to fit one of Illyria's 4-fingered hands. I had this made for you, John said, showing her the larger ring. The metal is from Earth, but it was shaped by Zentari craftspeople. Like us, it brings both worlds together. Illyria's skin flashed with bright patterns of joy and surprise. John ... I know this is fast by both our standards, John continued. I know there are still problems to solve. But these past 3 years have shown me that love can cross any distance, even between stars. He took the ring from the box and held it up. I'm not a king or a royal. I'm just a man who loves you. But I want to ask if you would join your life with mine, not just as queen and diplomat, but as equals in partnership. The garden fell silent. Even the strange birds that usually sang seemed to be holding their breath. Illyria's skin shifted through colors John had never seen before, deep violets and golds in patterns too complex for human eyes to fully understand. John waited, his heart pounding. Had he made a mistake? Was this too soon? Did Zentari even have a concept like marriage? Illyria reached down with one hand and touched his face with a gentleness that always surprised him. "Among my people," she said softly, "a queen chooses her mate carefully, for it is a choice that affects all Zentari. I have ruled alone for 50 years, putting my people's needs before my own heart." Her skin began to glow with that deep gold that John now knew meant love. "But in you, I have found someone who understands both duty and desire." She looked at the ring he held. "There is something I must show you before I answer," she said. "Something no human has ever seen. Only then can you truly understand what you ask and what my answer means." John closed the ring box and put it back in his pocket. "Show me," Illyria took his hand. "Tomorrow, when the twin moons align, I will take you to the heart of the Zentari, to the confluence itself. There, you will see what it means to be joined with me." Her many eyes looked into his. "And then, John Miller, I will answer your question." As they walked back to the palace, John felt both excitement and fear. Tomorrow he would see the confluence, the great secret of the Zentari. Tomorrow he would learn if his love for Illyria could truly bridge the gap between their worlds. Tomorrow he would get his answer. The next evening, as the twin moons of the Zentari world moved closer together in the sky, Illyria came for John. She wore simple robes instead of her royal clothes, and only 2 guards came with her. "Are you ready?" she asked. John nodded. He had barely slept, wondering what he would see. "Where are we going?" "Deep below the palace," Illyria said. "To the place where all Zentari are truly one." They walked through parts of the palace John had never seen before. Downstairs that seemed to go on forever, through hallways lit only by glowing crystals. The air grew warmer as they went deeper. Finally, they came to a large door made of some dark metal. The guards stayed outside as Illyria placed her hand on the door. It opened silently. "Few Zentari ever see this place," she said as they entered. "And no human has ever been allowed here." The chamber was large and round with walls, made of the same crystal as the palace. But these crystals glowed with their own light, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. "This is beautiful," John said, looking around. "This is only the entrance," Illyria replied. "The true wonder lies ahead." She led him through another door, and John gasped. They were in a vast cavern that seemed to stretch for miles. The ceiling was so high he could barely see it, and everywhere, filling the huge space, were thousands of glowing strands of light. They hung from the ceiling, rose from the floor, and stretched from wall to wall. Like a giant web made of light. In the center of it all stood a pillar of pure white light that reached from floor to ceiling. "This is the confluence," Illyria said. Softly, "The heart of the Zentari." John stared in wonder. "What are all these strands?" "Each one is a connection to a Zentari mind," Illyria explained. "When we are born, we join the confluence. When we die, our strand returns to the central pillar." She pointed to the glowing pillar. "All our knowledge, all our memories, flow through this network. We are many bodies, but in the confluence we are one mind." "And you, as queen?" John asked. "I am the strongest connection." Illyria's skin glowed with the royal purple of her position. "I feel all strands, know all minds. It is a great honor and a great burden." John tried to understand what he was seeing. "So when Zentari seem to know what others are thinking, it is because in a way we do." Illyria touched one of the glowing strands, and it brightened at her touch. "We respect privacy. We do not constantly share all thoughts. But the connection is always there, like a soft whisper in the back of our minds." "And your mate must join this?" John looked at the complex web of light with new worry. "How?" Illyria led him closer to the central pillar. "The royal mate receives their own strand, connected directly to mine and to the center." She touched his hand. "If you join with us, you would remain yourself, John Miller, but you would also become part of something greater." John stared at the pillar of light. "Would I? Would I hear all Zentari thoughts?" "Not as I do," Illyria said. "Your connection would be mainly to me, with only a gentle awareness of the others. Over time, as you grew stronger, you might sense more." John took a deep breath. "What do I need to do?" "First, you must be sure," Illyria said, her skin showing concerned patterns. Once joined, you cannot be removed from the confluence without great pain, perhaps death. I'm sure, John said. The sight of the confluence was overwhelming, but his feelings for Illyria were stronger than his fear. I want to be with you, in your way as well as mine. Illyria's skin glowed with that deep gold he loved to see. Then kneel here, before the pillar. John knelt on the stone floor. Illyria moved behind him and placed 2 of her hands on his temples, just as Dr. Zelther had done during the tests. Open your mind, John, she whispered. Do not fight what comes. At first, John felt nothing. Then a warm sensation began to spread from Illyria's hands into his head. It was pleasant at first, like sinking into a warm bath. But soon the warmth became heat, and the heat became almost too much to bear, just when John thought he couldn't take any more. The pain vanished. In its place came a feeling he had never known before. He could sense Illyria, not just her hands on his head, but her mind touching his. Her thoughts weren't words exactly, more like feelings and images that he somehow understood, and beyond her, fainter but still there, were thousands of other minds. The entire Zentari people, connected in a vast network that now included him. A strand of light appeared before him, growing from the central pillar. Unlike the blue strands of the Zentari, this one glowed with a soft golden color. Slowly, it moved toward him until it touched his chest. There was a moment of intense brightness, and then John felt the strand enter his body, connecting directly to his heart and mind. The feeling was beyond anything he could have imagined. He was still, John Miller still had all his memories and thoughts. But he was also more. He could feel Illyria's love for him flowing through their connection, stronger and clearer than any words could express. He could sense the curiosity and cautious welcome of the Zentari people. And he could feel the ancient wisdom stored in the central pillar, the combined knowledge of generations. When the connection was complete, Illyria helped him to his feet. John was surprised to find he could stand. He had expected to be weakened, but instead he felt stronger than before. It worked, Illyria said, her skin glowing with joy. You have joined the confluence, the first human ever to do so. John looked down at his hands, half expecting them to glow like Zentari skin. They looked the same, but everything felt different. I can feel you, he said in wonder, in my mind. And others too, but fainter. Yes, Illyria said, that is the confluence. We are never truly alone. John reached into his pocket and took out the small box with the rings. Through their new connection, he could feel Illyria's emotions spike with anticipation. Now that I understand what it means to be joined with you, John said, opening the box, I ask again, will you marry me, Illyria? Will you be my wife as I become your consort? Illyria took the larger ring from the box. Through their connection, John could feel her answer. Before she spoke it aloud, but the words still filled him with joy. I accept your question, John Miller of Earth, she said, her voice echoing in the vast chamber of the confluence. And my answer is yes. Our lives will be joined, as will our worlds. As she slipped the ring onto one of her fingers, John felt the approval of the confluence itself, a warm wave of acceptance flowing through the network of minds. He was no longer just a human visitor. He was part of the Zentari now, joined to their queen and welcomed by her people, and in that moment, with their minds and hearts truly connected for the first time, words became unnecessary. The Zentari queen's final reply left him speechless. But it didn't need to be spoken aloud. He could feel it resonating through their newly formed bond, a promise that transcended language and even thought itself. They were, at last, truly together.